This week is Parshas Lecha. In this Parsha, we leave our homeland, our place of birth, and our family to head off to the land of Canaan with our worthless nephew Lot in tow, who then goes and gets himself in trouble. And we go and rescue him, and then we're promised children and a mighty inheritance. Let's talk about the beginning of the Parsha for a minute, and then we'll deal with some other things. Hashem comes to Avram, not Avraham yet, Avram still, and says, Lech Lecha, me'artzecha, me'moladetecha, me'beis avicha. Leave your land, your birthplace, and the clan of your father, and go to the place that I'm going to tell you. And so Avraham picks himself up, and he goes to the land of Canaan. And he brings along his nephew Lot, later on is going to cause Avraham lots of trouble. And it is pointed out by the Orach Chaim, among others, that Hashem tells Avraham, Lech Lecha me'artzecha me'moladecha me'beis avicha, from your father's clan. That means, it implies that he should leave all of his relatives behind, except for Sarai, his wife, and his personal household members. Why does Avraham take Lot with him? Well, Avraham doesn't take Lot with him, as the pasuk says, Lot went with him. Vayelech acharav Lot, or something to that effect. Lot went with him, and then afterward it says that Avraham took Lot and Sarai, and the nefesh asher asu b'Charan, the people he gathered in Haran, that's his household staff and people who followed belief in Hashem, and they go to Canaan. Oh, all right. So Lot went with him. Avraham Avinu, this is already an insight to the character of Avraham Avinu. Avraham doesn't want to tell Lot that he doesn't want to have anything to do with him. He's too polite. Lot tags along. Avraham doesn't say get lost. Avraham says, okay, fine, come along. Avraham knows that Hashem has told him to leave behind all the relatives other than his wife. But,
in 2 minutes,
insult anybody. So, there we go. Avram, at this point, though, is looking for any moment to try to get away from Lot. And later on, he uses the excuse, there's an argument between his shepherds and Lot's shepherds. Avram and Lot both being good pastoral nomads. They have livestock. That's what pastoral nomads do. They roam around with their livestock, looking for land to graze their animals, moving from place to place, keeping with the weather, the seasons, the grazing land, etc. So Lot's shepherds and Avram's shepherds get into a dispute over the land, grazing land for their flocks. Avraham says to Lot, thinks to himself, first, now I can get away from this guy. And he tells Lot, look, there's not enough room around here for your animals and my animals. You tell me where you're going to go, and I'll go somewhere else. He's like, you pick your land, I'll pick my land, and we'll go and we won't have fights with our shepherds anymore. Good. So, what does Lot go and do? Lot picks himself up, and he heads for the plain around the dead around the Jordan. The land of Sodom and Gomorrah. The plain. Sodom and Gomorrah, we'll see in next week's Parsha, are not the nicest places in the world. So that says something about Lot. He can go anywhere, any place, anywhere he wants, and he heads for
take exit 1.
Well, this causes Lot some trouble. As things go on, the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, and Moed Savaim, and Bela, which is called Zoar, they get into a fight with 4 other kings. Kings of Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, and Kedar Omar, and all the rest of them, King Balaam. All these kings, who these places are, who these guys are, who knows?
Continue.
The king of the cities of the plains around Sodom, and then these other kings go to war. Lot gets caught in the middle, and he's captured by the 4 kings after they defeat the 5 kings. Avram hears about this from some fugitives. That's the simple meaning of the pasuk. Is Vayavo HaPalit, and tells the fugitive comes and tells Avram that Lot has been captured in this battle. Who the Palit is, the Mefarshim and the Medrash have some fun with. We don't really matter for our purposes as who this fugitive is, but somebody comes and tells Avram that his nephew's been captured by the 4 kings, and they dumped him in a tar pit near Sodom. So, what does Avram do? He could just say, my worthless nephew, he deserves what he gets hanging around with a bad crowd. But nope, Avram whips up a private army, 317 men, puts his major domo Eliezer, Ben Meshach Beso, the chief administrator of his household, in charge, and they go off, and they go and kick the tuchuses of the 4 kings, beat them senseless, rescue Lot from the tar pits. And they capture a lot of prisoners. They capture some money, treasure, prizes, spoils of war. Avraham, what does Avram do? Avram, it's his army had gone and won the battle. He's entitled to keep the treasure. But Avram says to the king of Sodom, no, I don't want the money. He gives a chunk of it to Malki Tzedek Melech Shalem, who is the priest of El Elyon, which is Hashem. Malki Tzedek, the king of Shalem. Shalem is Jerusalem. Malki Tzedek is a good, solid priest king in the classical Bronze Age tradition of the Near East. He's the king, and he's also the priest of the city's religion, which happens to be the worship of Hashem, Kel Elyon. Avram goes and gives some tzedakah to the priest, to Hashem, and he says, I don't want so much as a shoelace to keep for myself. And he gives all the money and the treasure to the king of Sodom and the rest of them. And he says, I'm keeping Lot, and you get the rest. And so again, this is another indication of the character of Avraham Avinu. He doesn't really want to get involved, I'm sure, with the fight between the 4 kings and the 5. That's not his business. But he has to go rescue his nephew, so he gets his army together and goes rescue his nephew. And then he doesn't want to take anything because he's not in it for the money, he's not in it for the glory, he's not in it for the riches. All he's in it is to rescue Lot. Despite Lot's personal flaws, failings, hanging out with a bad crowd, he's still Avram's nephew, and so Avram goes and saves his skin. And which is so this is one of the things that, again, characters of Tanakh are supposed to tell us things about that and what we're supposed to do. So Abraham would have been entirely within his rights to say that Lot is hanging out with a bad crowd, the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah and the rest of them. He's got himself in trouble. He's got himself captured. Serves him right. He's a no-good bum anyway. Avram could have said that. And Abraham did not say that. Avram said, he's my nephew, you gotta go save his hide. So Abraham goes and he saves Lot. So this is something we should learn from this, is that when our people are in trouble, it's a response we should go, no matter how bad they seem, we should always be ready to help out the people who belong, these are our people. Lot is Avram's people, so Avram has got to go and help him, even though he's within his rights completely to say otherwise. And the other thing is this humility and personal character of Avraham, that all he wants is for the only money he takes from the spoils is to pay his allies on Ereshkol and Mamre. They get paid, his mercenaries, his soldiers, his allies, whatever you want to call it, and the rest he gives a offering to Hashem, and then the rest of the money goes back to his rightful owners. And Avram doesn't keep anything for himself, not even so much as a shoelace. And so that just shows you the character of Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu, again, it contrasts him a bit to Noah, who I was possibly a little too harsh on the last time. But Noah does his thing. Noah is quiet. Noah doesn't go out of his way for anybody beyond any more than he has to. Avraham, he returns the money to its rightful owners. He keeps only, he rescues Lot. He does everything that is right. He's above and beyond. And this is makes Avraham a tzaddik l'doros for sure. He's a character for the ages. And he's worthy of becoming our ancestor of the Jewish people. And at the promise at the end of the Parsha, Hashem comes to Avram and says to Avram, look, it's like I'm going to make you into a mighty, great, powerful nation with many descendants, and they're going to inherit the land of Canaan from its. And when the iniquity of the Amorites is completed, and Avram says, well, what am I going to do? My steward, Eliezer from Damascus is going to inherit my estate because I got no kids. And in the meantime, of course, Avram takes Hagar, his handmaid, as a concubine, and he has Ishmael as his child. And Hashem says, no, Sarai is going to have a child, and your child through your wife will inherit everything. It says he's old or whatever. But yeah, okay. Hashem will give him a child. They cut up some animals, they have some steak, and Hashem makes a covenant with Avraham that he's going to have a child through Sarah. They changed the name from Avram to Abraham, and from Sarai to Sarah. Makes the bris bein habasarim. Avraham sacrifices some animals, and they walk between the parts, and Hashem appears in the flame of a flaming furnace, torch.
Exit the traffic.
This is how they're sealed. And Avraham also seals the deal by having circumcision. He circumcises himself, his son Ishmael, 13 years old, and all of the members of his household. And so we can explain a little bit about the name change of Avram to Avraham. Avram means mighty father. Avraham implies father of nations. Well, which works because Avraham is the ancestor of Israel, and he's also the ancestor of all the descendants of Ishmael, and who we consider to be the modern day Arabs. So certainly the father of many nations. And Sarai, my princess, becomes Sarah, which is a more generalized term also. And there we go. So, and not that much we can say to get into this Parsha. Beyond that, it's a nice, relatively straightforward Parsha. Perhaps I shouldn't say that. Could probably keep going into the symbolism of the bris bein habasarim, but I'm not going to. All I wanted to do was get to the character of Avraham. And so, there we go. The character of Avraham. And next week, we go and show hospitality to guests while we're in great pain. Trash some cities. Rescue Lot again. Drunken incest. And possible human sacrifice. Come back next week for another episode of On the Road with the Meshugginer Rebbe. Signing off. Good day.